they're not the only ones that are struggling, because I struggle too. And I have a story that I want to get out there and I want to share, especially with like men and fathers. Cause at the time I was a new father and, my hormones were out of whack. I wasn't eating right. And I went through a postpartum depression stage and I felt very alone to that point.
Going back to how this started. So you said you were kind of on your own journey. Were you a chef at the time? And you said,
Yeah.
So I guess what contributed to, from your perspective, your weight gain and kind of what did that journey look like? Because I think a lot of men can probably relate to that as they move away from their early 20s into their 30s and get that quote unquote dad bod. So
Yeah.
I guess what did your journey look like, and kind of how are you attacking that with what you're doing here?
Yeah. Man, it's been a long journey so far, and I've learned so much through this whole journey. It makes me emotional that I think about it, because it was a very dark time in my life. And it all started out as I was 25. I was the executive chef of a restaurant in Milwaukee, and I was working a crazy amount of hours. And that time I didn't really have a lot of consciousness and awareness in my life. I was just more on autopilot, and I was just kind of doing what society was telling me to do. And I was going home. I was working all day, eating late at night, eating whatever, ice cream, fast food and stuff like that. And over the course of a couple of years, it started to catch up on me. And so I started to gain a bunch of weight, and then it was to the point where I was so stressed out at work, and I started to become depressed and stressed, and I was just in this super dark time. And that's when I just knew that I needed to make a change. And I didn't know how to make that change. I mean, I was severely uneducated about, consciousness and awareness and stuff like that. So my therapist, quote unquote, said it, my spiritual awakening, or like an awakening. And so at that time I was just severely uneducated. And I knew that I didn't want to take a pill, or I didn't want to, go through any type of, deep therapy with, medication. And I just wanted to more take it on a holistic approach. And I knew that I didn't, I knew that I wasn't alone. I knew through vulnerability, it was going to help me heal. And I knew that it was also going to reach other people and other men and other dads. And so that's kind of how this brand just kind of came about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you mentioned two different things. One is the vulnerability, and one is kind of awareness, or kind of consciousness, and not being on autopilot. So can you talk a little bit about, like, what does that mean for people that aren't, like, that may not know what that means? Like,
sure, yes.
From an awareness perspective, because I can completely relate to kind of that point, and I agree with you. I don't think a lot of people have that awareness of themselves.
Yes. Yeah. So vulnerability for me was just more of, not being afraid to express, what I feel inside, and just kind of let people know that, that it's okay to not feel okay on the inside. And then more of conscious awareness is I created that through meditation, and just kind of making small habits and keeping small habits to myself, so I would write in a journal every single day, and I would write down the things that, that aren't going bad in my life. And then I would write down the things that I know that I should be doing in my life to change those bad habits. Because everybody knows what they need to do in their life to make a better life. It's just more of, are you willing to do the work? And so writing down those things in the journal is what helped me. And it's not easy at all. I mean, it was really hard, because you have a lot of mental chatter that's going on in your brain, and your brain just wants to seek more comfort. And you just kind of have to push yourself to do the things that you're supposed to be doing. And once you are doing those things, they become habits, and then it becomes more of a daily routine for yourself. So that's what kind of creating awareness and consciousness is about, is that, you're going to get a lot of resistance, and that's just more of the ego that wants comfort. And in order to build and grow that consciousness, you have to be able to step outside of your comfort zone, and to just continue those habits daily, no matter it doesn't matter if you don't want to do it. I mean, it's just too bad. It was a life or death situation for me, so I had to do those things, and I had to force myself into, those habits, and to create a
Yeah.
better life for myself, for my kids, and for my family.
Yeah. The easiest person to deceive sometimes is yourself, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not the only ones that are struggling, because I struggle too. And I have a story that I want to get out there and I want to share, especially with like men and fathers. Cause at the time I was a new father, and, my hormones were out of whack. I wasn't eating right. And I went through a postpartum depression stage, and I felt very alone to that point. So that the whole point with Fresh Chef was to especially reach out to the community, and especially reach out to men as well, to let them know that, hey, the emotions that you're holding inside, it's okay to let them out. And just kind of bring everybody together as a community through clean eating and whole dense foods, because in my belief is that food is medicine. So so I started that, and it kind of worked out well for me over the past 4 months. I had a lot of doubts, and I had a lot of things. I had those nights laying in bed, is this worth it? And I just kept going. No matter how many times I wanted to quit, I just kept going. And I was working out of my house for about a good 3 months. And then I was in contact with somebody through the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and they wanted to interview me. And then once that story came out, everything just kind of blew up. And that's what's actually keeping me going with this company, is to reach out and help other people. Because, the things that keep me going is when I had a client that told me last week that they lost 15 pounds, and another client said that they lost 10 pounds. And the biggest one is that I had a client when she switched over to clean eating, that she was completely off her medication because of clean eating and just making a lifestyle change. And so that's the kind of thing that's just what keeps me going, and just kind of continue to reach out to the community and let people know, hey, this isn't just a meal prep company. This is more of a company that's going to reach out to you.
So kind of back to the Fresh Chef, what type of food can people order that they may not be able to get out? So especially now, as we're, people that, want to mix it up, or they want to help someone, an elderly relative, or someone that's immunocompromised. So kind of, can you talk a little bit about that?
What the goal is with Fresh Chef is to more offer a service that brings comfort, or offer a food that brings comfort. So I try to take a lot of dishes that are, in a comfort food kind of sense, and kind of twist them into a healthier way. So I have things like chicken parmesan. I offer things like pork carnitas, or I offer things like chicken stir fry and stuff like that. So the things that are usually super high in fats, and and calories and stuff like that, I try to make that into more of a healthier dish, so that can kind of just bring comfort to them, to think. It's more of, trying to tricking people into think they're eating bad, but they aren't eating bad. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it just kind of wants them to want more of that food, because it's that first of all, the food is cooked in a clean way. It's not processed. The food is, shopped at grocery stores that are local. And then two, it's all about portion control with people. There is no food that's going to make you fat. It's more of, or make you gain weight. It's just more of the caloric intake is that you have, so everybody has to just kind of understand the calories in versus calories out kind of deal. So it's just more of offering those comfort foods in a more portion controlled way.
Austin, what about ordering food for people that can't get out right now? Like ordering food for elderly relatives. How's Fresh Time set up to potentially help solve that problem?
Sure. So right now we have a menu that's available right now, and during a time like this, I actually came up with an idea of how I can make that happen. I hope to roll that out by this weekend, and just get those meals to people who are elderly that are in need of food. And but right now you can go on to the website, freshchefmke.com. You can watch a short video on how to order, and then you can go and choose the meal plan that best fits your budget, and then you can pick the meals that you'd like under the featured menu, or you can also order the meals that are in bulk for your family. So the service of getting the meals tomorrow, it's not happening now, unfortunately, but I'm working closely with a buddy of mine who works with me and how we can figure that out, just because we have a lot more times on our hands. And I think getting those meals out to families right now is much more important than trying to deliver once a week,
Yeah.
so.
That's awesome. Well, Austin, I do really appreciate your time this morning and kind of telling us a little bit about Fresh Time and what you're doing over there from a health and wellness perspective, as well as how you're trying to help people in this time of crisis.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Thanks again for watching. We really appreciate your time, and we hope you guys are getting something useful and informative out of these features that we're putting together. We really believe right now is a time for all of us to serve each other. We believe here at Sterling that we're called to serve families that are going through a period of transition, and we have to pick up the shield and the sword of what's the best interest of others. We all need to do that in this period. We need to look to our neighbors, look to people that are in need, and really understand what they need. If you have an elderly neighbor, make sure you get in touch with them, call them. If you have someone in your network of individuals that may need help getting food, make sure you're reaching out to them. Give a friend a call. Everybody that is in our society is being asked to isolate. We can remove some of that feeling of isolation by connecting with one another. Families that are in this together, don't spend every waking moment looking at the news and just getting involved with everything that's so dire. Spend time playing board games, spend time enjoying each other's presence. Because we will get through this together. This too shall pass, and we will come out stronger and better than we were before. We look forward to continuing to bring you content. We hope you get value out of this as we journey through this period of transition together.